Well, it's Thursday, 20th of April 2022, and what a glorious morning. It's a morning for getting up and doing things, and I've already been up and done some things, not a lot, but little bits. And now I'm thinking about what I'm going to do that's sort of major and important. I think the first and most major important thing is just to take a couple of minutes to look at the quince tree. Yeah, just look at that. Isn't that an absolute joy? Covered in flower. I wonder how much of that flower will translate into fruit. I guess that depends a bit on the weather. One of the problems here is you can have this glorious weather in February, March, April, and then you can still get a frost into May. And of course, if the fruit sets and then we have a frost, well, we'll lose the lot. But in the meantime, bearing in mind I'm not a great lover of quince, in the meantime we'll just enjoy the beauty of this tree. I can see bees buzzing about. They're enjoying the beauty of it. Yes, last year I didn't weigh it, but 5-6 kilos of quince. I sort of know what to do with them, but I don't have either the time nor the great interest, so I gave them to a friend who gave them to her daughter, who made some quince jelly, without having enjoyed the beauty of just looking at that tree first thing in the morning. There we are. The forsythia is sort of coming to an end, but the grass, well, we might do something about that very shortly. Might not, might have a cup of tea. Well, it's time to think about lunch. Yeah, some people think about lunch all day long, but some of us have the discipline to wait until sort of lunchtime to think about it. And this is what I'm going to have for lunch today. It's new, it was on special offer, and well, that's what it is. Think of it as a sort of duck burger. Yeah, and it's got all these instructions on it that tell me what it's made of and when I've got to use it by and how to cook it and all of that useful sort of stuff. It doesn't tell you how to eat it, but I can probably work that out. Oh, and there's this funny sort of gizmo thing. I guess if you zap that with your telephone, it will tell you all about food or something. So that's going to be lunch today. And while the oven's warming up, there's a little cleaning job that I want to do. If you carry passengers, especially those passengers that wear skirts, no, Scotsman, it's always good if this bit of the car is clean. And I've given it a once over. It looked like a farmer's field before I did that. But there's a little problem, and it's a design issue with this car. See that little bit there? Well, I've removed some of the crud, but it was absolutely chock full of mud and stuff. You know, that sort of stuff that you can't really identify. Really ought to send it to a lab to find out what it is. So here's a little problem. How do I get that out? Well, we can use a vacuum cleaner. We can use water, but what I've started by doing is using a screwdriver down here to take a screw out there, and then we're going to get in there, and yeah, that's horrible, isn't it? And we'll do that while the oven's warming up. Well, that's what I've got out so far. It still isn't clean. I think I'm going to blast some water in there just to get the last of the muck out. I think, yeah, that was a voyage of discovery. And the oven is nicely warmed up now. So, this is real French cuisine, this is. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pop that in the oven for 23 minutes. And what we're looking at is actually the bottom. It's a pastry. Basically it's a sort of duck burger. But there we are, let's pop that in the oven and then count to 23 minutes. And this is what the non-tea drinkers do. I give them clean water. Do they drink clean water? No, they don't. We crawl into the watering can and drink the manky old water out of the water butts. And the serving suggestion on the packet suggested a sprig of parsley on top of it. So let's have a look at the lilacs as we go to the parsley. I've got parsley in the garden because it grows like a weed, and one of my friends was pulling lots of it out of their garden and gave me some. So you stick it in, you should plant it in a sort of contained environment. Well, I've just stuck it in the ground, and no doubt that will spread and it will give me parsley for all of the things you use parsley for. Or persil, and of course the French word for parsley is persil. Potatoes, that'll be good. And of course we've got rosemary, which the bees are loving at the moment. That's to go with pieces of lamb when you cook lamb, but again you plant it and it just grows, and you cut it and you throw it away and you get the twiggy bits and put on the fire. It gives a nice aroma in the house. But yes, every garden should have rosemary and parsley growing in it. Well, there we are. Lunch fit for a...
Is that you, Harry?
Yes, it is me, yes.